This conference will now be recorded.
Morning, guys. How many of you have downloaded all guidance documents? How many of you have downloaded guidance documents? How many of you have gone through all the sections which we have covered yesterday? Chusara?
Yes, sir, download.
Okay, cool. So now we will start with C disk. Okay, now we'll start with C disk. So this is a C disk presentation which is given by director from C disk and SAS. So why C disk? So C disk stands for Clinical Data Interchange Standards Consortium. Clinical Data Interchange Standards Consortium. మీరు చూస్తే 2005 this is the date. From that date onwards they wanted to implement these standards. Okay, but they started in the year 2012 to 15 around. Exact, they have made it mandatory in the year 2015 approximately. Okay, but this ఏదైనా అనుకుంటే like whenever we come up with a new thought, new process, it will take many years to implement it, because this is the one which we are preparing with respect to global wide. Many countries will have a lot of questions, many regulators will have a lot of questions. So in terms of standardization, so they have to answer everybody's, and they have to design the standard. So it took almost 10 years, not even 10 years, it's more than 10 years for them to develop these standards. Okay, right. So CDISC stands for Clinical Data Interchange Standards Consortium. So what is a CDISC and why standards are really important for us? Okay, what is a CDISC and why standards are really important to us? You see, right? So Rebecca Kush, she is a senior director in CDISC, and David Handelsman is a senior programmer in SAS, who is working for SAS company. Excuse me. Right. Lack of standards make our lives more complicated. For example, if you purchase a laptop in US and you're getting it, can you directly use that laptop here? Can you charge it? No, right? Again, you need to have an adapter. Then only you'll be able to use that product, correct? Suppose to say, if you take in the case of ATM cards, credit cards, debit cards, wherever you go, everywhere across the globe, it will work. So many of you might have heard about international cards, correct? So that international cards, it will work everywhere. Okay, across the globe, it will work, correct? Right. So standards makes our lives easier. So whenever you are preparing a thing in a standard way, so it will help. Malli nenu akkadiki velli, like suppose to say I'm traveling to US today, so there again I have to apply for a card. It takes time, right? Till then, how should I go with my expenditure? Suppose to say tomorrow I'll go to Australia, there again how? Tomorrow I'll go to UK, how? Right? So if you're having, if these are not standardized, if your ATM cards are not standardized, so it makes your life very difficult, right? Without money, definitely you cannot survive in that country, correct? Right. So you see here, without standards you have to face some issues. With the standards you can make your lives easier. Now we understood the importance of standards, right? Why standards are important. Okay, right. Now you see, this is a drug, like arthritis drugs Vioxx recalled. So Pfizer takes painkiller Bextra off market. So initially they have increased, initially they have approved the product, but after that they have recalled it due to, you see, right, the blockbuster painkiller extra was anchored off the market Thursday, and the government ordered that 19 other popular prescription competitors, from Celebrex to Mobic to high dose naproxen, carry tough new warnings that they too may increase the risk of heart attacks and strokes. You see, right? So government has ordered all the pharmaceutical companies to call back their products. So why? What is the reason? So actually speaking, what happened is, if you are not following standards, what happened this is, I'll tell you. I'll tell you, see. Suppose to say, before these standards, how companies used to perform, I'll show you. So each and every company will have their own terminology, their own internal SOPs. Okay. Suppose to say CRO1, CRO1. Okay. So here, supposed to say a person who is participating in a clinical trial, we call him as a subject, a trial subject, correct?
Subject.
So we have how many phases of clinical trials we have?
4.
Phase 1 to phase 4,
3,
right?
4.
Phase 1 to phase 4. So in phase 1 trial, you know, this subject terminology as per CRO1 is subject only. Okay, subject only. As per phase 2 trial, it is volunteer. And as per phase 3 trial, they call it as a volunteer. This is before standards, right? Everybody is used to build their own way of standards. So same concept in CRO2. Same concept in CRO2. So everybody is called a subject here. Okay, everybody is called a subject here. Now, regulatory person, he has audited CRO1 data. Regulatory person has worked on CRO1 data. So as per his understanding, whenever he sees the term subject, he will consider it as a phase 1 trial. Agree, yes or no? As per his understanding, if he, whenever he uses the, whenever he sees the terminology subject, subject means it is a phase 1 trial. Correct? Now all of a sudden CRO1 has kept this work aside. They have written, they have asked for additional analysis, and they will not stay idle, right? So he got, you know, person number 2 who is reviewing the CRO2 data, he is on a leave. So why this person will be left idle? So he was given with, you know, person number, there are 2 persons, RA person 1, RA person 2. Okay, RA person 2 is on leave. So till now this guy has completed phase 1, phase 1 2 data. So phase 3 data was given to RA person 1. Phase 3 data is given to RA person 1. So whenever he sees the document subject, subject means in his mind what is there? So immediately he will bring phase 1 checklist. Immediately he will bring phase 1 checklist. So he will bring phase 1 checklist. With respect to checklist, it is okay, okay. So he will write all the points okay, right? Because it's already phase 1 okay. Correct. So with this understanding, he will approve this molecule. Whenever he approves this molecule, what happens? Without proper validation, if he is approving the product in the market, what happens? It will cause a lot of adverse effects. Correct? The same happened in this case as well. The same happened in this case as well. So this issue has happened because of
Not setting
non-standards.
proper standards.
Because we don't have proper standards, this issue has happened. Correct? Yes or no? Right? So end of the day, these are drugs here. You know, the purpose is to save lives, but at the end, the same drug will kill many people. Correct? Yes or no? If the adverse events is severe, serious, chances people will die, right? Correct? So that is the importance of standards. So keeping all these points in mind, you know, we have built standards. Now you got the point, right? Why standards are really important, you understood, right?
Yes, sir.
Clinical information dispersion today. You see, right? Healthcare information is found in paper medical records, disparate databases, hospital-based information systems. And clinical research data exists in additional databases, research notebooks, and also clinical trial data is collected from ECRF, IVRS, ePro. So ECRF stands for, CRF stands for case report form.
Yes,
Write it
sir.
down. CRF stands for case report form. Majority of your data you get from CRF. 80% of your data you get from a CRF. ECRF stands for electronic case report form. Okay, ECRF stands for electronic case report form. IVRS stands for interactive voice response system. తెలుగు కోసం రెండు నొక్కండి, right? So that is an IVRS system, correct? EPRO, electronic patient reported outcome. PRO stands for patient reported outcome. So if it is research data, the research data will be present in databases, research notebooks. If it is a clinical trial collection, we collect in ECRF, IVRS, ePro. And if it is a hospital-based, you see, right, paper medical records, disparate databases, hospital-based information systems. You can find all clinical trial data in these three places. Read the definition. Right? So here, faced with rapid changes, the national healthcare system has fallen short of its ability. Suppose to say I have 10 years of experience. I'm working in CRO1. So I got offer in CRO2 and I went to CRO2. So immediately can I give all inputs to CRO2 people? Immediately can I give all inputs to CRO2 people? No, right?
No.
Because I should first understand the process, understand their terminology, then only I can give inputs. Correct? Then only I can give inputs. Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
Right. So you can see here, you cannot, you know, uh, translate the information into knowledge because of these gaps, because of these non-standard things. So even though I have 10 years of experience, I cannot provide you suggestion at the moment. I should understand your process. I should understand your terminology. After that only, after I have a clear-cut understanding, then only I can suggest to the people, right? ఇది అదనుకొని అది అది అనుకొని ఏదో ఒకటి చెప్తే పిచ్చోని చూస్తారు నేను. Like, obviously people will treat you as a mad guy, right? Right. So no assumptions, you have to clearly understand, then only you have to comment. Okay, then only you have to do that advice. Correct. Right. So this, whenever you are moving to standards, supposed to say every company is following same standards. Immediately, even if I join another company also, I can immediately give my inputs there, yes or no? Correct? Right. Because the process is same, terms is same, terminology same, I can give that inputs to the next level people. Right. And you can see innovation depends on standardization. Right. So benefits of standards operational wise. Benefits of standards in terms of operational wise, you can see. Okay. Right. So it increases efficiency. Okay, it increases efficiency of performing trials. Simplifies process among investigators, pharma companies, CROs, vendors, laboratories. So this point I will tell you because suppose to say I am working for a CRO. For me, I'm a pharmaceutical company. Okay, so I have to conduct a clinical trial. So I will give it to CRO. Okay, I will give it to CRO. Suppose to say, for example, a majority of you people know what is, right? Novartis is a pharmaceutical company. We all know this, right? And suppose to say it is a CRO too. Internal Novartis also they do a lot of trials, right? So this year they have to do a lot of trials. Whatever the capacity they have, manpower they have, they cannot do it. So what they do, they give this work to sub level. They give this contract to sub vendors. Correct. They will give this contract to vendors. So vendors are also following their own internal standards. Okay. So whatever the standards you are nowadays is following, vendors, earlier they don't used to follow same standards. So whatever the data that is captured by vendors, so that is submitted to Novartis. Novartis again, they will understand, okay, subject ID is patient ID here, patient ID is volunteer here. So likewise, they will again convert these standards into their internal standards and then submit to regulatory authorities. So there is a lot of, understanding gap between these two terminologies, yes or no? Yes or no? You will have gap, right? So if you are moving to standards, you can reduce that and you can simplify your process. You can exchange your data between pharmaceutical companies, ROs, labs, etc. Now we understood the concept, right? Right. Streamline data collection at investigator sites. Whenever you are working on multi-center trial, center 1 will follow one standard, center 2 will follow another standard, center 3 will follow another standard. So you can streamline the process data collection at the investigator sites. Improves sponsors access to data and ability to understand it. So whenever everybody is following same standards, a sponsor can in between open safety data, he can see how safety values are. Correct. Provide long-term means for electronic data archive. So you can provide long-term means for archive. You can save your data for longer time. Facilitate FDA review of submissions. Even every FDA also will feel comfortable whenever you are following standards. If all CROs are following same standards, FDA will feel comfortable, yes or no? Right. Improves link between healthcare delivery and clinical research. So it will increase links between delivery and clinical research. Right. If you have standard terms, standard ways, standard way of communicating, it will be easy for two parties to understand the requirement and do the necessary actions. Right. This is all theory. Okay. Theory is important. Theory is bore, but still theory is important. Okay. Right. So theory is the one which will tell you the destination. Okay. So if you wanted to reach the destination, suppose to say I wanted to go to Panjagutta, for example. Okay, I should know the way. I should know the route. Correct. If you know the route, you can go by bus, car, cycle, whatever it is. So technology is like, it is you can use R, you can use SAS, you can use anything. If you are good at a technology and if you're not good at a domain, you know everything, but you can't move anywhere. అంతేనా కార్ నడపడం వచ్చు దారి తెలియదు ఏం చేస్తాం కూర్చోటమే కదా ఇఫ్ యు నో టెక్నాలజీ సూపర్ గుడ్ యు ఆర్ గుడ్ ఎట్ టెక్నాలజీ సూపర్ యు ఆర్ సూపర్ ఇన్ SAS. But if you don't know domain knowledge, you can't do anything. If you don't have domain knowledge, you cannot do anything. Correct? Yes or no? Right. So domain knowledge is very much important. Whatever the slides I cover, whatever the topics I teach, these are very much important. Everyone has to see this is all theory here. Why you will write important points. So before coming to next class, you will just recap once and you can move. Correct. So theory గురించి నేను చెప్పక్కర్లా మీరు అందరు థియరీ చదువుకొని వచ్చారు. All your subject is theory subject, right? Correct? Yes or no? Right.
Amma,
So now you can see benefits of standards scientific. Okay, facilitate integration of data. Whenever I'm working on a molecule, so I may not get results in one trial or two trials, right? So we can integrate data from multiple trials and see final result how it is working. and enable assessments of trends and patterns in data. So like, public health benefit, how health is getting benefited with standards. So what are the benefits you are getting in drug development? So better guidance for studying disease states. You can see, right? You can assess the trends before standards how it is, after standards how it is. So how much growth you see, what is the benefits you are getting with standards, all that scientific research you can do. Allows companies to focus on their potential therapeutic products versus data issues. In clinical trials, you have a lot of data issues here. You get a lot of data issues. Okay, right. So person who worked on phase 1, so same phase 2 also there is a chance that subject will write as a subject only. That person will write the terminology as subject only. So likewise, you will have a lot of data issues. So instead of that data issues, you can focus that time on your therapeutic products, how to improve your product and all, you can focus on it. Improve safety monitoring and pharmacovigilance. These are all your scientific advantages you have. And support ad hoc analysis, enhance decision making capabilities during data review. For example, suppose to say I have submitted all the data to regulatory authority. So the regulatory person wants to perform few more kinds of analysis. So it is called ad hoc analysis, ad hoc request. Okay. So here the turnaround time will be very less. Turnaround time will be very less. Normally, if you wanted to generate a table, they will give 2 days. Here they want it in 2 hours. Okay, here they want it in 2 hours because FDA guy is waiting there. So until you give them the report, he is free. Okay, so FDA guys will insist you to make the things in a faster way. Okay, so if you are following standards, see, suppose to say person who has worked on this trial, suddenly he resigned, he left. If you are not following standards, if a new person comes in, he has to first understand standards, then he has to start working. Suppose to say if standards are same for everyone across the globe, so even though I hire new person, immediately he can do the analysis and he can send the report. Agree, yes or no? So these are all the benefits of standards in terms of scientific way. Standards, yours, mine's, ours. Your standards are different, my standards are different. Both together, it is now our standards. Internal standards are good and is a first step for first step for quality, but are insufficient. So everybody having their own internal standards is good for their process, but these are not sufficient. So streamline internal process. You can streamline your internal process. Little effect of data transfer and interoperability with external organizations. I told you, right? So that vendor he will collect the data in his own standards. Again, vendor giving data to Novartis. Again, they have to convert their internal standards to Novartis standards, right? So you may face difficulty there. CROs are a classical example for the limits of internal standards. Every CRO will have their internal standards. This is before. Now everybody is following CDISC. So development and adoption of public standards are next logical steps. So everybody has to follow public standards. Okay, right. So you see, right? So this is a drug development cycle. You see, right? Early discovery. So preclinical, even up to 10,000 studies they conduct. You see, right? Preclinical trials they conduct 10,000. IND stands for investigational new drug.
New drug.
Investigational new drug. And NDA stands for
New drug.
new drug application. And ISS, interim summary for safety. ISE, interim summary for efficacy. Interim analysis we know, right?
Yes, sir.
Good. So you see, right, in phase 1, so maybe 30 to 100 volunteers they participate. In general, we are supposed to do 10 to 15 phase 1 trials. So something happens, they will correct the drug. So around 10 to 15 trials we do in phase 1. 4 to 8 we do in phase 2. Sometimes 2 to 3 we do phase 3. So once your phase 3 drugs are approved, you see, right, once your phase 3 trial is success, we submit to regulatory authorities. So regulatory authority will submit, will approve your drug. This is approval. After you have got approval, you can sell your product in the market for 10 to 15 years. So you'll have patent rights. So 2 3 years in that, again they will do phase 4 trials, post marketing trials they are called. In post marketing trials, if suppose to say if that is drug is found to have more side effects, immediately they will ban the drug. Agree, yes or no?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Right. This is your clinical trial process, phase 1 to phase 4. Next, so the cycle is clear. Moving on to next. Before standards, people used to collect data this way. EDC. EDC stands for electronic data capture. Electronic data capture. EDC stands for electronic data capture. Internal CDM system. CDM is clinical data management. Before standards, this much confusing it is. We never know which EDC is going to which internal CDM system. This is going to this. Where it is going, we don't know. Where it is going, we don't know. Right? So first of all, whatever the data they have captured, they will store in internal CDM systems. From internal CDM systems, they will transfer this data to internal data warehouse. From internal data warehouse, your regulatory agencies, corporate partners, the statistical programmers will access data. After CDISC, you see, right? EDC, we have a concept called ODM. ODM stands for operational data model. Operational data model. Operational data model. You see, right? You will have only one EDC. Whatever the data you capture, it should capture from that EDC only. And that from that EDC, it will go to internal CDN system. From that internal CDN system, it will go to internal data warehouse. So inside a bracket, you see, right, SDS. SDS stands for Submission Data Standards. Submission Data Standards. From there, you see, right, regulatory agencies, corporate partners, statistical programmers. So into future, from direct from e-source, they wanted to make it to internal data warehouse. This is into future. So this concept they are called C dash. So they will not have data collection. So right now the process is whatever the raw data we capture, this raw data we will convert into CDISC standards. We will create SDTM data sets. From SDTM standards, they all converted to Adams. Okay, so right now whatever the data they are capturing, instead of raw data, they wanted to capture all the data in a standard way only. Okay, this concept is called CDASC. Now we are trying to implement it, but we are facing a lot of challenges. Okay, to do this, still it is in process. Before SDTM, benefits of standards, regulatory review. Before SDTM, domain is, yes, we have a standard domain name, whatever the data we get. So we get each and every domain data separately. Standard domain names. Few people will create a demographic, few people will create a demo, few people will create a DM. So earlier people used to give domain names as their own internal standards. So but after SDTM, we have standard names for domain. Everybody has to create that domain with that standard name only. Standard structure, earlier there is no, now we have standard structure. Standard variable names, earlier no, now yes. Standard variable names is equal to no. So standard variable names, yes. So list of variables, whatever we present in that domain, those are not standard before. Now it is standard. Names for that variables is also not standard. Now it is standard. Standard terms, no. Standard terms, yes. So we have it at that time whenever they are presenting, we don't have standard terms, but we now have standard terms. Read this paragraph. Uh, 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 uh. Okay, right. C disk soup. Okay, C disk soup. Right? ఏం soup అది? Manchow? Manchowena? Manchowలోనే sticks వస్తాయి. Correct? Right. So now read this definition. This is important. C disk is a open multidisciplinary. Multidisciplinary means here you have a programmer, statistician, principal investigator, clinical investigator, data management guy. Okay, so regulatory authorities guy. So CDISC is a open multidisciplinary non-profitable organization. So we are building these standards. I will sell these standards to your company. No, this is a non-profitable organization committed to the development of worldwide industry standards. Committed to the development of worldwide industry standards to support the electronic acquisition, exchange, submission, and archiving of clinical trial data and metadata. So data about your data set, we call it as metadata. If you want metadata, we have to use a procedure proc contents, correct? So for medical and biopharmaceutical product development. Okay, these guys are building standards to support acquisition. Acquisition is taking, right? Acquiring is taking, right? Acquisition is also taking. Exchange, giving and taking. Submitting and archiving of clinical trial data. The mission of CDISC is to develop and support global platform independent data standards that enable information system interoperability to improve medical research and related areas of healthcare. So we have to provide global standards that helps us to exchange information between two parties. Okay, right. So this is how your data is. You see, right? Medical records. You see, right? This is a system. So this is some documents, CRFs. So you see, right? X-ray, ECG, lab, all these things will go to operational data. From here again, this information goes to one more operational data. Lab is going there. And submission data, you see, right? Whatever the data we are submit to regulatory, all the data is built here. This is a data transfer in clinical trials at the back end. So drug development cycle, I already told you protocol. First of all, protocol will be prepared, site initiation and will be done, subject enrollment will be done, data collection monitoring and all is done, trial monitoring is done, and data analysis, reporting, submitting to RA. Once everything is done, archiving your clinical trial data. So this clinical development cycle we already have covered, right? Yesterday's class only we covered, right? ఇంకా నేను డిపార్ట్మెంట్స్ కూడా చెప్పాను నేను, correct? Bioanalytical department, FR&D, R&D, I already all explained these all, right? Fine. So clinical back office, you see, right? EDC without standards. These are all electronic data capture machines. Okay, right. So you see now all this information will enter into ODM, operational database, you see, right? SGS Adams. So from this we build Adams, submission data standards Adams. E-submission for regulatory review. We submit all the data for regulatory review. ఇది ఎప్పుడు ఫామ్ అయింది, ఇది మనకు అవసరం లేదు, సిడిస్ కాన్సెప్ట్ ఇది మనకు అవసరం లేదు. ఓకే, సో దిస్ ఈస్ అ బేసిక్ కాన్సెప్ట్ టు మేక్ యూ అండర్స్టాండ్ వై స్టాండర్డ్స్ ఆర్ ఇంపార్టెంట్. సో వాట్ ఈస్ ద ఇంపార్టెన్స్ ఆఫ్ సిడిస్, వాట్ సిడిస్ విల్ డూ if you're applying CDISC standards, what all the advantages you get. Everyone has understood, right? Right? Right. So tomorrow we will work on this PPT. So this is a PowerPoint presentation which I have prepared. I think this is already shared to you. If not, I will tell them, they will share with you. Okay? Right. So you see, this is all the information. So I have prepared a document. Okay? Whenever I say we are experienced people, so there is a chance people will ask what all the changes you have seen in latest versions. In version 3.2, these are all the domains they have added. Okay, right. So everything I'll take care, no worries. Fine. Chalo. That's all for today, guys. Bye. So tomorrow I will start explaining these slides for you. So there are almost all 40 slides, around 37 slides are there. Okay, right. That's all for today, guys. Thank you. Bye.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah.
Thank you,
Bye
sir.
all. Happy day.
Thank you, sir.